Patrubhyascha kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaudati Se Namaha. So we're here at our West London mat at the feet of Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar, Shri Radha Giridhari. How do you say that? But how do you say the whole name of the deities? Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari. And devotees have asked us to say something about the recent events at the Sokel Seva Ashram. We just had this Govinda Mela festival in honor, celebrating our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar, Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, and all of his followers, his teachings, his mood, his legacy. And it was started, what year was the first one? Maybe 2017, perhaps. And there were two, 2017, 2018, and then the COVID crisis hit the world, and so 2 years. And so it was just, I think there were just two. I think there were just two festivals.
I remember Ramananda went one time. It was very cool in America.
No, that was for a tour.
2018 and 2019.
Yeah. And during those 2 years, the festival was, it was building up. The news was spreading, and the second one became bigger. And so then the third year came around, and everyone was gearing up for an even bigger festival. And then everyone had to go into hibernation. And then this year, by the inspiration and strong determination of Hasapriya Prabhu, and the third one took place. And really, I was very impressed and surprised how determined Hasapriya was, for this festival to Jai, Jai. Not everyone was convinced, that it was really practical or that people would come. But Hasapriya was really, determined. Oh, we have to make the Govinda Mela. We have to continue this, and he started work on it early, several months. It was like in end of April he started, and they did a lot of work to prepare the whole. Some of you will remember the whole, that whole back area by the temple where the compost is. They redid that whole area. They leveled out the land. They put in grass, like very expensive grass, and they redid the cement path because that was the main gathering area where they put up a big pandal for the Govinda Mela. So they started work on that. They had big cement trucks coming in. I was there when I was leaving America just when they were starting it. They had big cement trucks coming in. It was a lot of work. So Hasapriya Prabhu, he was the person who really, first got the ball rolling, and he had a wonderful team, especially Gaura Nataraj, Jagadananda Prabhu, Madhumati's son, and others, many others also. And then also we have to mention Ananda Moy, Devi Dasi, originally from Brazil, who now lives in Canada. She's very expert with PR kind of stuff, media, advertising, connecting with people, and she did a lot of work to promote the event. She made these, you might have seen on Facebook, she made these wonderful posters and short video clips and audio clips, and it must have been like 20, 30 or more, these clips and posters that she made advertising the event. And I really experienced tangibly for the first time the power of advertising, because I also wasn't convinced about the Govinda Mela, and I wasn't planning to come, because I had been in America for several months and over the spring, and then they announced the Mela will be the end of July, and I thought, well, I'm ready to go back to Europe and visit our communities in Europe. I'm not going to stay and wait for the Govinda Mela. And also, it's going to be too much to go to Europe and then come back again, So I told Hasapriya, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think I can come, But he insisted, like, Vishakha, the Govinda Mela is important. This is a big deal. You have to be there. So I said, okay, Prabhu, I can't say no to you. So I wasn't totally convinced, but I thought to honor the wish of the Vaishnavas, then I'll come. And I wasn't totally convinced that not many devotees would come, that it was going to be, so much of an event. But then I experienced, as Anandamoy was publishing, making all this promotion, I started to get, excited. Wow, this is like a real thing. This is really happening. Like, you've got to be there. This is like the event of the year. It's like, the power of like repetitive advertising. You see the images every day, and then you get convinced. This is important, But of course, in this case, there's no cheating involved. It is really important, and it is really substantial. But it made that impression on my mind, So really, Anandamoy, she was a real star of the event. She did all that work beforehand, and she developed a quiz. You may have seen a very cool Vaishnava quiz with questions on different areas, on Gurudev, on the history of the Sokel Mat. She asked me to help a little with questions on different verses, different shlokas.
Who did it?
Anandamoy. This also Anandamoy did. She's a real powerhouse, and she helped a lot with the coordination, communication, and all of that. Braja Mohini was also very essential there, the coordination and receiving everyone and the accommodation, organization, everything, of course. And Krishna Priya Didi, of course, also. And there were so many tents, they were all over the land. They had some of these, they have about half a dozen of these beautiful lotus tents, like glamping tents. And then ordinary tents were also up everywhere. It was. And then another highlight was the festival for Giriraj. After the festival, I asked some of the devotees, what was your favorite moment in the Govinda Mela? And most of the devotees said that, the festival for Giriraj. And going up the hill, we had a procession bringing Giriraj up the hill, and then Abhishek, bathing the Giriraj deity. Were you there for? They did it a few times before. Were you there for one? Maybe not. Maybe that was after you'd been there. And see, this was actually Gurudev's vision. Gurudev expressed that he desired there to be a temple for Giriraj. I think he wanted a permanent temple. I don't know if Giriraj would stay there all the time, but like a mandir there for him, which they've started making. They built a foundation, a ground, and they have a wooden structure, which now it just needs a cover, and then it will be ready. But that was Gurudev's vision, that they would bring Giriraj up there sometimes and have some, worship of Giriraj there. So it's, knowing that you're doing specifically, fulfilling Gurudev's desire, and it wasn't done when Gurudev was here. So, that's a very special thing. And another thing which I realized is that what has come out in Sokel, and this is miraculous, that what has come out in Sokel is a manifestation of Gurudev's Arati song. Because the first line of Gurudev's Arati song, Jaya Jaya Gurudeve, Arati Uchwala Govardhana, Pada Pite, Bhuvana Mangal, that all glories to this effulgent Arati of Srila Govinda Maharaj, which is going on at the foot of Govardhan Hill. Because because they have Gurudev's temple there. They have Gurudev's Samadhi temple, which is at the base of this hill. And now we have a temple for Giriraj, Gupta Govardhan. So it's it just kind of struck me when I was up there at one moment. I was like, oh my God, like, wow, what is this? It's some very mystical thing, you know. And then you start to wonder, you know, like this is part of some eternal flow, you know, that's just appearing, it's manifesting. And Chinmoy Prabhu said that when they got the land, Gurudev said, actually it was already, he said something like it was already like our property, but the devotees just had to enter. He said something like that. The devotees just had to enter. It was already ours. We just had to enter it. Like that. So that I really was blown away by that realization. And we had an extraordinary kirtan up there, Janardha Marj and Ashram Marj, in the hot sun. 2 hours. They were going for 2 hours or plus. 2 hours plus. They forgot about, like, we were meant to have some program, like with some talks, but they got so into the kirtan, and this is the middle of the day in the summer, and half the devotees ended up leaving, or I was sitting by the side, and many devotees just left, and Janardha Maharaj and Ashram Maharaj were still dancing, not even stopping to drink water, and they're both in their 70s. And they were like jumping and dancing in the hot sun, no cover, you know, in kirtan. It was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. We had an arati for Giriraj, and then afterwards kirtan, and it just kept going and going and going. Everyone's leaving. You know, it was incredible how much enthusiasm, how much energy, you know, they had. And then afterwards we had a little, then Janardha Maharaj spoke a little, and Ashram Maharaj spoke a little, and then we had to go. It was getting too late. So that was another highlight, that Giriraj. And everyone got to bathe Giriraj. The Charanamrita, which was very beautiful.
Do they have one Giriraj in ashram?
Oh, see, I don't like these kinds of questions. Because I've actually done arati there a few times. But I think there's more than one, right? I think there's more than one. They have a lot of deities on the altar. They have like multiple Radha Krishnas and Mahaprabhus, and so there's in Sokel, yeah, there's a lot of deities on the altar. But that's no excuse for me not knowing exactly. I'll have to double check for you. But I think there's a few Giriraj. I'm thinking 2 or 3 Girirajs are there. I'm thinking. But it may just be the one. I don't remember. So that was another beautiful highlight. And then another highlight, what was my favorite moment was we had a beautiful Harinam Nagar Sankirtan going out. And it was like storming, like a thunder, like a thundering kirtans, at least 50 devotees. And this is the kind of Nagar Sankirtan that Gurudev liked, I have to add. Like Gurudev didn't like this like 3-person, 5-person. Gurudev did not like that. I heard him mention that a few times. Like his minimum was 10, 15. 15 was kind of like, but like he liked a grand, you know. Like Ishabandhu Prabhu told me that one time there was some discussion of having a Rath Yatra between the Kaikali temple and the Dum Dum Park temple, like a procession for, I think, Vijay Vigraha of Mahaprabhu. And Ishabandhu asked Gurudev, what do you think about that, Gurudev? And Gurudev said, yes, you can do it, but there must be 108 mridangas. Must be 108 mridangas. That's what he said. So Gurudev liked to do like grand, you know, like make some impression to the people. Like this isn't some rinky-dinky thing, you know, this is like grand movement of Mahaprabhu, glorious movement of Mahaprabhu. So I was so happy we could do that. It's not so often you get the opportunity, right? So it was glorious. It was really glorious. And we went for several hours. Again, Asha Maharaj and Janardhan Maharaj, they were getting tired by the end. So they were getting tired. They left a little early. But it was really extraordinary. And Nyasi Maharaj, he also came. And Nyasi Maharaj's health is not so well, but he also came for that. Jagadananda Prabhu, if we're talking about thundering kirtan, then you need definitely, Jagadananda's got to be there. That was very nice. And and a lot of devotees came. Had Prema Sundari came from Colombia, all the way from Colombia. We had about half a dozen, including Anakshi, came from Hawaii. Radhana Rupini also came from Hawaii. And I think there were a couple others. Krishna Indrani, who I hadn't seen in like 15 years, she came. Gurudev's disciple.
Someone from Salt Lake City.
We had a big crew from Salt Lake City, headed by Sripad Nyasi Maharaj, Sudarshan Prabhu, Vaikishori, who were leading wonderful kirtan. Vishakha, of course, our main star. Shama Mohini, Braja Mohini, of course, she came also from Salt Lake. Shama Mohini came, and also quite a few young persons. Jai Gauranga, he's come to stay actually, he's come to stay in SoCal now. He also arrived for that. And also a new member took initiation, Ananda Krishna. He's living in California actually, but he connected with the devotees in Salt Lake. Very nice young devotee. And some other friends of Shama. I don't remember all of them. Brandon, I don't remember all their names. So there were quite a few young persons there.
Is Shama back in Salt Lake City then?
No, she stayed for some time to visit her father. So it was Jayanta Krishna's birthday. She stayed for some time to stay with her mother, and they'll go back eventually. So yes, very, very beautiful kirtan. And Purushottam Prabhu, are you thinking of? Purushottam? Not that young. He's like, I think around 40.
No, there is another young.
He didn't come. He's in Salt Lake. Rama something. He's in Salt Lake.
Purushottam, the one that was in Kartik in 2019.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because I thought it looked like him.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, I'm just saying he's not like in his teens or anything. He's not that young.
Yeah, I didn't think he was. I thought he was maybe early 30s or late 20s.
Oh, maybe 30s possibly. Yeah. Yeah, he came, which was very nice. He came. Yeah, he's a very nice devotee. He stays in Salt Lake, also. Yeah. Yeah, he's very, very, very nice, very sober devotee.
Yeah.
Very nice, very intelligent. He also came. And another highlight was a performance presentation by Vaidehi, Kalindi's Didi's daughter. She this is one of her visions, to present Mahaprabhu's message in kirtan in a way that is attractive, to the public. So she made, like, for the first time, a public offering of some of the things she's been working on, which was very, very good, very professional, very professional. So that was another highlight of the event. Of course, Devi Prabhu came from London, along with Ishanuga, Didi, which was, everyone was very happy about that. Devi Prabhu gave many very wonderful talks, and everyone was very happy to see Ishanuga, who hadn't been there in, I think they calculated 24 years. She hadn't been there, because she was living in the ashram, ladies' ashram there previously. So many devotees knew her from before. So that was beautiful to have her presence there. It was really nice. And I also wanted to mention there were very nice programs for the children, which was very nice. Yeah, the other Vaidehi Normand, and also Sushila, Devi Dasi, and others, they put in a lot of effort. They had programs going on every day for the children. And they put on a play also, the Kaliya Serpent, and a few little things they did, which was very, very sweet. So I really appreciated that, that service. It's so important. Yeah, it's so important that they did that. And there was a wonderful kitchen crew, which was very organized and harmonious, kind of headed up by Damodar, who's a new disciple of Srila Janardhan Maharaj. And everything flowed, very, very nicely. Very grand prasadam every day. And it seemed, I was happy to see, it didn't seem like there was much wastage. Like everything seemed to be eaten. There were a lot of people there, a lot of devotees there. It seemed like everything, it went. So, because that's something that can be sad in big gatherings. It's hard to calculate, right? And then a lot gets wasted. Vishnu Priya Dhanavad. But it was nicely calculated and offered to the devotees, and it was one of the most harmonious festivals, like big gatherings I've been to. And another thing which really struck out to me was things were kept very clean. Everyone was making an effort to keep things clean and organized. Like normally in big festivals, the bathrooms will start to get a bit scary. And, I usually experience that, but everyone was like, I took it as kind of like a sign of how happy everyone was. Take a cushion, Shriya.
They put up the showers also?
Yeah.
They were working?
Yeah, they put up temporary showers and they had extra toilets. I was by the temple building, so I was only using there were a couple of bathrooms there, and I only saw what was there. But yeah, they did put up showers in different parts. And they had tents up all over, like different parts on the hill, on that path next to Gurudev, in front of Gurudev, behind Gurudev, and down by the car park, there were tents there. And the Russian devotees also came from Los Angeles, which was very nice. So it was nice because, it felt like Avadut Maharaj is also represented in some way. The Russian contingent was there. What else? I think those are all the main. Oh, and we had also some Mexican representation. Actually, I came up. I was very proud. I came up with Bamshi Bihari because I actually flew into LA and I stayed with one devotee, Ganga Leela, who lives near LA, and I stayed there a couple of days, and then we also went to Tijuana I went there a couple of days. And then we got to bring Bamshi to the festival, which was like, a big bonus because everyone loves him. He's the son of Jyotamana and stepson of Pitambar Prabhu from Guadalajara. And such a sweet nature and very dedicated and very dear to Janardhan Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, and all the devotees. So I was very happy he could come. And I think there were some other... Jagannath Swami, of course. Jagannath, he always brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm. He also came. And who else? I know I'm missing out. Well, he lives there, Ramachandra.
Practically, next door.
Yeah, he's like neighbor. Yeah, he's a few minutes down the road. And his wife, Krishna Mohini, yes, of course, they were there. And who else? Swarnangi Didi, of course. Yeah. It was a huge team effort. Everyone was working really hard, and there were some who came early too to help, and to help with the preparation. So Prema Narayan, Krishna Kanti's son, he did a lot of work. Shama Kanta, she's a disciple of Janardamar. She came early to help, and she was working really hard throughout the festival. It's hard to mention everyone, isn't it? But it was a beautiful team effort. It was a really beautiful team effort. Yeah, and I really think it's something that everyone should try to go to and plan your year around, because it really, at a certain point I really felt like Gurudev's energy was descending, because Gurudev spent so much time there. That ashram was so, it was important to Gurudev, and so in the same way that the devotees would congregate in order to meet Gurudev, now we can continue to do that and feel his presence there. And so many devotees there who had received specific grace from Gurudev. So it feels very significant, that we can gather there in remembrance of his divine grace. We can continue to do that.
The devotees, they represent something of Gurudev.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you feel Gurudev's presence.
That's a good way of putting it. I wasn't articulating it how I wanted. Yeah, everyone's representing something of Gurudev, exactly. So when that's like collectively brought together, there's so much power in that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just on a practical level, there's space there, to accommodate everyone. It's it's almost 30 acres of land, and there's facility. There's facility for everyone. So, we hope and expect that it will continue and become, more glorious, and more will come to bring their hearts, their heart offering and presence to the gathering.
Yeah, it's so nice that we could also feel that we were a bit a part of it. It was posted on Facebook.
Oh, that's another thing I would like to add. Murali Mohan Prabhu, he was another star of the event. He worked really hard. He was doing all the media.
Oh, yeah.
And he has this, it takes him an hour and a half, took him about an hour and a half to set up, and an hour and a half to dismantle every day. It's a very professional setup. I don't know if you've ever seen him with this whole set. It was like 2 or 3 different cameras, and sound system, and computer, and boxes, and wires, and I took a little clip, actually, I have on my phone. And if you look at some of those recordings he was doing, looks very professional. And he'd have, there'd be split screens sometimes, and he'll have the speaker, the name come up, and then if there was a slideshow or something, then he would show there'd be a link with the slideshow, and then he'd also have an image of the speaker, the presenter in the corner. I mean, it was just first class, and he working so hard. I mean, can you imagine an hour and a half just to set up, and an hour and a half, and then sitting there the whole day, to recording everyone, and then late at night, 9 o'clock at night, he's dismantling. I mean, it was incredible. It was very, very impressive. So.
Could not we stay put there?
I mean, he could do that, but it's a little risky. It's very expensive equipment. And also in the nighttime, there's a lot of damp, a lot of moisture that probably wouldn't be good for the equipment either. So yeah, it just, he was being professional about it. I didn't want to leave it out like that. Didn't want to take any risks. So everyone really appreciated that service. and strong teamwork, beautiful teamwork from everyone. Dinabandhu Prabhu doing the puja, so much of the puja, and he was on time. Throughout the festival, he was on time. And Bimala, yeah, Kalindi, yeah, so many amazing devotees in the background, taking care of so many things. Amrita and her beautiful children, coming from Mexico. So many beautiful devotees. And so many devotees just, inspired to do service, all day. Like self-motivated, not that somebody had to tell everyone, to do this or to do that, but everyone's just, it's like the ideal service environment where you don't have to tell anyone anything, but everyone's just automatically inspired, to do. The garbage was always, like clear. And actually, I mentioned to Hasapriya one day, like I'm wondering, like, is someone coming out in the middle of the night, like cleaning the bathrooms and taking out the garbage, like, 'cause, like, everything's clean, and he confessed that he was doing the garbage himself. He said he'd come early in the morning and he would change all the bins. I thought, wow, I was impressed. Shambhunath Prabhu, Shambhunath Prabhu. Yes. Yeah, he's wonderful receiving devotees and many things. And his nephew actually came. He came after the Mela. A very nice boy from Florida he came. And it was very nice to stay a little longer too. I got to be part of the cleanup crew, which was really fun. Yeah, so we just took down, or I helped with taking down the pandal. I did my little bit, And we had a nice crew who stayed on a little longer. Krishna Shraya from Berkeley, very sweet devotee, and a few others. And this younger group, Jai Gauranga and Ananda Krishna, they were there. And it was very nice. The last couple of days we had some like young, fresh presents. We had Shambhunath's nephew and Jai Gauranga, Ananda Krishna, Anjali. She came. All Shama, Anjali, Murali Mohan's daughter. She also came, and we had, there's some very nice energy when you have like young, inspired devotees. It's very uplifting. That was really nice.
And there was also, I think, a newly initiated devotee, very tall. Maybe was that the nephew of someone? Like he was jumping high.
Oh, that's Ananda Krishna.
Oh.
He's not that tall, but he does jump very high. He's maybe a little taller. But everyone noticed he's jumping. You know how he connected with Doyal Nitai in Salt Lake City. He lives in California near LA. He's young. He's like 18 or something. But there's this kind of a little eccentric devotee in Salt Lake, Doyal Nitai. Did you meet Doyal Nitai? He lives in a van, and he just goes out with books every day.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, you met him maybe, Doyal Nitai.
From ISKCON, maybe.
He was previously. He's very young. He's early 20s. He was in ISKCON for a little bit. And then he met Chintamani, and then he got connected. He took initiation from Goswami Maharaj. And that's his program. He doesn't like to live in buildings, doesn't like to live in the temple. He likes to live in his van, and he goes out every day, and he shares the books with people. Prabhupada's books, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's books, Gurudev's books. And he also has this Instagram account, and he does these readings every day on there, these like live streams there. And I mentioned to Jai Gauranga one day, do you ever, because Jai Gauranga is very inspired also. He's 19, very young, very inspired. he like ran a Bhakti yoga club with Shama for a while at the university, the college in Salt Lake. And I mentioned to him one day, oh, do you ever go out with Doyle Nitai? And he said, well, he doesn't like to go out with anyone. You know, like he likes to just go out and do his thing, you know. It's incredible. He's so young and like we're so committed. And so he met this Ananda Krishna who'd been visiting Salt Lake. And Ananda Krishna went to a few programs in Salt Lake, and then he heard about this festival, and he lives near LA anyway. So he came and became very good friends with Jai Garanga also, and then he decided to take initiation, you know, like not knowing that much, you know, but his whole life he's been searching, he said. And he shared this one story how a few years ago this expression, die to live, started playing in his consciousness, you know, die to live. It suddenly kind of just appeared in his consciousness, and he'd been visiting our devotees for some time, and he didn't know this was like a famous expression of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Then it was only a few days after he took initiation that he heard, you know, this was something Srila Sridhar Maharaj should talk about. But yeah, you know, very, very, very inspired, very enthusiastic, and we'll see how he blossoms, you know. But very promising and beautiful dancing. I mentioned Jagadananda, right?
Yeah. And
Any devotees from
Malika.
No, I didn't see him.
From Florida? Did someone come from Florida? Oh, you know who came? They couldn't come, but you know who did come? Sulalita and Amrita Nanda. They're originally from Venezuela. Do you remember you met them? They're living in Texas now. And it was the first time they'd come to SoCal. And many of us hadn't seen them. I hadn't seen them for like 8 years. I met them last in Navadvip. So that was really wonderful to see them. And they also brought a friend who took initiation from Janardhan Maharaj. Wendy was her name, and I don't remember her new name. So that was very nice. They came from, what city did they come from? What's the name of that? Houston, I think. Houston, they're living now. I know Rukmini couldn't come. They have this new young baby, and all, so I think it was difficult. Pradeshri couldn't come either. Of course, Jivana Didi. How can we forget Jivana? She's the main person.
Krishnananda and Indulekha.
Indulekha came, Krishnananda came, Virachandra came.
Yeah.
Actually, we were disappointed. Ajay Krishna, he was the designated photographer. And he unfortunately couldn't come because of the situation here with Ratna, his mother-in-law. So Indulekha and Krishnandrani stepped up, and they did like the media coverage, the photograph, along with Murali Prabhu, of course.
I was happy to see Krishna Dayal.
Krishna Dayal was very inspired. Yeah, really, and he got some fresh wind of enthusiasm. And
is he staying in that area?
yeah, he'd moved out actually, but he's moved back in now.
In the temple?
Yeah. Well, he likes to stay in his van also. There's like a whole van culture in America, which is quite strong. Even on the temple property. Also over the Mela was so crowded. Maybe he'll move into one of the rooms now. I don't know. But yeah, he was staying, especially after the festival, he was getting very involved and covering a lot of, because a lot of devotees got sick actually after. It was such a big gathering. So he was covering a lot of the services. Rinda, cannot forget Rinda also. She was doing a lot of the cooking.
Vaishnavi was there also?
Vaishnavi Didi, yes, and also Saki, her son, yeah, Haripriya Didi, Sarvabhavana Dikshavati, so many devotees. Yeah. now I'm going to be in trouble because I'm missing some names. Nandarani.
Yeah.
We're missing Deva Priya because she's in Europe.
Narayana.
Oh, and the fact that Ashram Maharaj could come was very cool, because he couldn't come. Now the situation, because of COVID, all the visa applications are blocked up, and there are devotees Mexicans who've been waiting over a year for their visas to be approved. So what they did is they applied through his Spanish passport this time, Ashram Maharaj. And the very last minute, they got his, because I was in Tijuana, I met him in Tijuana before the festival. Ashram Maharaj, he was coming on his way. And they just realized that because even with the European passport, you still have to get this ESTA, right? It's called ESTA, right? So but hadn't applied for it. And so they applied for it just a few hours before he was supposed to cross over to San Diego, and he had a flight the next morning. And so they made he's sitting in the Tijuana temple, and they made the application. One of the devotees made it. And then he was going to cross the border, but it hadn't yet been approved. They're waiting. They don't know when. It could be 2 hours, it could be 24 hours, it could be a few days, right? They don't know. And not only that, but I won't say the name because I don't want to embarrass them, but the devotee who filled out the application also made a small error in his name. So his name was spelled wrong. There was a letter or two though. So we were all sitting there in the temple, and like on the edge of our seats, what's going to happen, And then his visa got approved, surprisingly very quickly. It was just over an hour. It was very quickly approved. And we found out later from Jagannath Swami that they had just pulled up to the immigration office, and they got the phone call from Vamshi, the visa's been approved. Just when they pulled up, the application was approved. It was very magical. It was very magical. So everyone was so happy that Ashram Maharaj could come. That was one of the highlights. Yeah, it was very special. And Nyasi Maharaj, of course, also he gave some very nice classes. Devi Shishri mentioned. We had one lady. We also had one ladies preaching thing, and I asked Jamuna. Jamuna's Jamuna Priya couldn't come, unfortunately. Gurudev's personal servant, she couldn't come. But Jamuna, she's a Chinese devotee who lives in Salt Lake City now, and I asked her. She's a very sweet speaker. She really shares from the heart, and nicely. She presents very nicely. So it was very charming and very, very, very sweet, very genuine mood. That was very nice.
And
Raikishori also, she's such a wonderful speaker. Yeah, wonderful speaker. Yeah, she also spoke. She was there, and they led very beautiful kirtans along with Sudarshan. And am I missing anyone? I'm sure I'm missing other important devotees out. She didn't come. She didn't come.
She had to protect the fort in Salt Lake City.
And we had one program in San Jose also with Kumkum Didi.
Yeah, she was mostly there.
Yeah, she did come to visit a few times.
Yeah.
And Bharat Prabhu also. But she has so much service there now. So we had one program there, which was nice. And there were quite a few persons who were kind of there was one girl who happened to be hitchhiking through California, and she heard about the event and came in for a few days, and there was this kind of spontaneous atmosphere like that, and there's such a big piece of land, people just come and pitch up a tent, that kind of thing was going on too, lots of unexpected people coming and going. Yeah.
Did you do a Harinam in Santa Cruz?
It's in the area. I don't know. There are all these like little towns. They're kind of like workably. They're like one, but they're technically different. There's Santa Cruz. There's Capitola. There's Soquel.
The high street there.
No, we didn't go there for Harinam. The place we went to was it's called West Cliff,
Yeah.
which I think is considered part of Santa Cruz, but I'm not sure.
Along the beach. Yes.
Yeah, along the cliffs.
Yeah.
We started out by the cliffs, and then we did walk down to the beach, which was kind of spontaneous, near the beach. We were there. But yeah, it would have been nice. Everyone's thinking next year to do something a little longer,
Yeah.
because it was a little too packed, like scheduling the classes and giving everyone time to, express and all these things. It was a bit too packed. So
What is it,
we
3
were
days or
thinking.
something?
It was no, it was like 5 days. It was kind of like a week altogether.
So you want to make it what?
But-
2 weeks?
Maybe like, see this, it was like officially 5 days. It was a Wednesday to the Sunday. And then people came a couple of days before, and some stayed a couple of days after. So it was like about a week more or less. So we're like thinking like maybe make it 1 week with a couple of days either side. Or Brajamhini was suggesting spanning 2 weekends, 10 days, something like that, a little longer. And then people can choose, because it was also hard to, I was totally exhausted, right? Like, because you don't have time for anything. Because you're seeing devotees you haven't seen in years, and you want to talk to everyone, right? You want to connect with everyone. If I wanted to walk from my room to the laundry room, which is normally it's like a 2-minute walk, it would take me an hour and a half to get there. I'd get here, and then I'd get in this cover, then another few steps, and then another, There was a mood like that of Navadvip. It did feel like a Navadvip reunion. So, yeah, to space it out a little more, so you have some more time, I mentioned Anakshi, I think. That was really cool to have Anakshi there, and she was sharing some of her paintings, and that was very cool. So yeah, I do think a little bit longer gives more time to connect with everyone. Would have been nice, I think. Yeah. And very sweet programs. We had the morning arati starting 5:30, and then we had kirtan, then we had Gurudev's arati 7:30, which Krishna Priya does very steadily every morning, which was very beautiful. Then there would be programs, classes going on, workshops and classes going on throughout the whole day in different places, at the Samadhi, in the temple, in the pandal. Then we'd have the noon arati, and then the evening arati and classes and programs. So it was a really beautiful atmosphere. Yeah, beautiful.
There was only one Sankirtan event?
Yeah, there was one. We could have had another. Yeah, I guess in those 5 days with everything happening, I think 2 probably would have been too much. But if we made it a bit longer, then yeah, we should definitely have another one. We could even do it every day. Yeah, because there were so many. It was like for Braja Mohini, it was challenging because there were so many speakers, and she wanted to schedule everyone in, and there were so many programs. So there was limited time and energy also. And we like the Giriraj festival. That was like a very full program. But yeah, it would be nice to go on another one if we made it a little bit longer. It'd be nice to go on another one. Or we could go out every day even. It would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah. Okay, so this is promotion for Govinda Mela 2023. please come and bring your friends and bring your family and bring your pets. No, I'm joking. Jai, should we close there then? Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Gurudev Goswami. And oh, just also want to mention, I'm very happy to be here with our London family. Feels like home, sweet home.
We are very happy to be so happy. Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki Jai.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Gurudev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Gauranga Sundar Ji ki Jai. The assembled devotees ki Jai, the world devotees ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Who's going to, do you want to sing Vishnu Priya? Hari Haraya Nama Krishna.
Yeah, this sort of events become more and more important because we cannot go to Navadvip to our mom there.
Right, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Hare Nama Krishnaya Radhavaya Namaha.
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 Radhavaya Madhavaya Krishavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya
You know who I forgot to mention? One thing I wanted to mention, Vishnu's daughter, Damayanti, she's living back at the ashram now with her children, and she's become like a really important part of the ashram. She's taking care of the land. She's trained like in gardening and ecology, these things. So she's taking care of the orchard. She's growing an herb garden. So that was really special. She's like really in tune with the lands. Like she knows like 6:30, 2 ravens are gonna land here, and she, like that to that level, Yeah, if you're here at 4 o'clock, when the squirrels are gonna be hanging out and they're gonna throw down the walnuts, and she's picking the fruits and the walnuts and curing the walnuts and making tinctures. And I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, it really feels.
And she has children with
Yeah, yeah, they're also staying there. Yeah, teenagers. Yeah,
And where would they stay?
in the barn. Yeah. Just wanted to mention, so I really was impressed with her. So nice. Devi, Mahaprabhu, Hare Krishna.